Do not store tomatoes in the refrigerator. Storing tomatoes in the refrigerator is not a good way because tomatoes contain an enzyme that reacts to cold temperatures, causing the cell membrane to break down and making the fruit rough, mushy, lose flavor, and no longer fresh. Moreover, tomatoes easily absorb odors from other foods in the refrigerator. Therefore, storing tomatoes in the refrigerator is not a good method. Therefore, I will share with you some ways to preserve tomatoes without a refrigerator, which can be preserved for 6 months. Let's watch the video. First method. When you buy fresh tomatoes, you should not wash them because water can make the tomato skin soft and more susceptible to damage. Now, take a basket or tray. Then, take each tomato and place it stem side down on the surface of the basket. This limits water loss and helps the tomatoes ripen evenly. Arrange all the tomatoes. If any fruit does not have a stem, use tape to seal it. This helps prevent bacteria from entering and retains the necessary moisture to help preserve the tomatoes longer. When eating, just remove the tape, wash, and process. If you do not tape it, it will automatically ripen in 1 to 2 days. Arrange only one layer of tomatoes. Do not stack them on top of each other to avoid them pressing on each other and flattening the fruit. With this method, you only need to store it at room temperature, but it will take up space if you have a lot of tomatoes. The time to preserve tomatoes this way is 10 days. Second method. Use paper towels or newspaper to wrap the tomatoes tightly. When wrapping tomatoes with paper towels, it will reduce the amount of air in contact with the tomatoes, so it will retain moisture, helping the tomatoes stay fresh longer and retain their color. If the tomatoes no longer have stems, use tape to seal them like this. Where are you from? Please leave a comment to let me know. It's nice to know that we see each other all over the world. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, you can subscribe by clicking the subscribe button. It's great to see your support. Next, prepare a cardboard box. Then place the tomatoes in. Be careful not to put them too close together. If you have a lot of tomatoes, you can line them with cardboard and continue to put the tomatoes in. Now prepare edible baking soda and spread it into the bin. You don't need much, just a thin layer. Baking soda is edible, so it is very safe. It absorbs moisture, so it keeps the tomatoes fresh for a long time. With this method of preservation, you can keep them for 1 month at room temperature. Preserving them this way will keep the tomatoes longer, while also keeping their flavor and freshness in the refrigerator. Now close the lid and store in a cool, dry place away from sunlight. Third method. Preserve tomatoes with salt. Apply to overripe tomatoes instead of trying to preserve them, and then they spoil and rot. Prepare a basin. Remove the tomato stems and put them in the basin. Remove the stem from the tomato to prevent it from poking into other tomatoes when storing. If the tomato is not intact, it will be difficult to store this way. Next, prepare edible baking soda and add enough amount to the basin. Then add water to cover the tomatoes. Now dissolve the baking soda with water. Baking soda not only helps soften the stains on the tomato skin, but also removes pesticides and chemicals left on the skin. Then soak for 10 minutes. After the soaking time, we start washing the tomatoes. Tomatoes are good for health, but you should not eat tomatoes with cucumbers at the same time, because cucumbers contain a catabolic enzyme, which will destroy the vitamin C content in tomatoes. Therefore, eating tomatoes with cucumbers will reduce the absorption of vitamin C into the body. In addition, children should not eat tomato seeds because tomato seeds are indigestible. Then rinse with clean water and take them out to drain. If you are in a hurry, you can use a paper towel to dry them. Now, prepare a clean, dry glass jar with a tight lid. First, arrange a layer of tomatoes in the glass jar. Then sprinkle a layer of salt on top. Keep doing this until all the tomatoes are gone. Finally, cover the tomatoes with a layer of salt. Salt has the ability to absorb moisture and is antibacterial, so it maintains the moisture of the tomatoes, helping them stay fresh longer and preventing them from rotting. Finally, cover the jar tightly. Place the jar away from sunlight and in a cool place. This way, you can preserve tomatoes for 1 month. Fourth method, preserving tomatoes with wood ash. To preserve them this way, choose fresh, firm tomatoes that are not rotten or diseased. First, prepare the wood ash. The wood ash is obtained after burning paper, leaves, firewood, straw, rice husks, etc. Then let the ash cool and crush it. Sieve the ash 3 to 4 times to remove debris and collect fine ash. This is the wood ash I have prepared. Next, prepare a cardboard box or foam box. Then, line the cardboard box with a layer of paper. Then, pour a thin layer of ash into the cardboard box. Now, place the tomatoes on top of the ash layer. Wood ash has antiseptic properties and acts as an insulator, absorbs moisture, and prevents decomposition, so it is very effective for preserving tomatoes. Then pour another layer of ash to cover the tomatoes. If you have a lot of tomatoes, continue to layer ash and then tomatoes, so that the tomatoes are evenly and tightly covered in the barrel, with ash covering the whole thing. However, in today's life, it will be very difficult for modern families to find ash to preserve tomatoes. But for farmers, when harvesting tomatoes but cannot sell them, or in the context of consumption, facing the situation of good harvest, low price, applying the method of preserving tomatoes with ash is a great tip. Those who grow a lot of tomatoes but cannot eat them all can preserve them this way, helping the tomatoes stay fresh and delicious for up to 5 to 6 months without worrying about the ash affecting the quality of the tomatoes. Then close the lid and place the barrel in a cool place, away from sunlight. When needed, take out the tomatoes to use. Do you know how to preserve tomatoes without refrigeration, which not only retains their natural flavor, but also helps preserve their nutritional value for a longer time? How do you usually preserve tomatoes? If you have a more effective way to preserve tomatoes, please leave a message in the comments section for everyone to know. Thank you very much for your support. The video ends here. If you have any comments, please leave a comment below. If you find the video interesting, please give me a like. Don't forget to share it with your relatives and friends. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your support. Goodbye. See you in the next video.